Hey, what's up, guys? I hope everyone had an awesome Easter and you're all doing well and staying safe. Today, we're going to do a test. Now, I'm going to do this test because I've got a couple of guns here that were sent to me because of the high hopes of the new power switch that I found. We thought that it was going to be able to handle 6S because it's the same type of power switch as on Sergey's board. It's just bigger and it works terribly. So it's not even as good as the original switch on the board. And what I was going to do is had one guy buy a custom board from Sergey with 30-volt capacitors on it and his specific fire rates that he wanted. By the way, Sergey will do that for you if you want. And got everything together, put the new switch on it. I think I made a video about this, and the switches failed miserably. I went through several of them. And now I've got one customer saying, well, just hold on to it. I'm not in a big hurry until something new comes about it. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? If the power switch gets stuck in the on position, why can't you just put an inline switch somewhere downstream so it doesn't really matter? It's not really that simple, and it's a safety reason because I'm trying to remember the name of the switch. It'll come to me. But when you turn the switch off, what it does is it diverts the current path to a resistor, so it discharges the capacitor that powers the solenoid. So if you were to have an inline switch and just run it off of that, you would turn it off. The gun would remain on and still be live for at least 2 shots. So that's the danger in having a switch downstream from it. And I don't see anything in the foreseeable future replacing that switch in a conventional way. And that's why I'm trying to get the guys to come up with an electronic switch so we can run 6S. Now, I have to tell you, sometimes, dealing with my counterparts over there in Russia, when I want them to do something, I have all these great ideas, but getting them to do something a lot of times is like this.
Come on, do math.
Now, that being said, it came to me, well, I've never really even tested the 30-volt capacitors. I do play around with the 30-volt capacitors in a Freebird with 6S. I just happened to find a switch that hasn't yet gotten welded in the on position, and that can happen. You can find a switch that will work 10 times and then it welds, 100 times and it welds, or whatever. So that's how I'm getting away with it. But it does hit really hard with 6S. So what I'm going to do today with this gun, we're going to get a baseline with this one of the 24-volt capacitor that's in it. And we'll get some chronograph readings of that. And there was something else I wanted to do with it. It'll come to me before we do the test. But then, after we get that test done, I'm going to make note of how fast it was shooting. Then I'm going to come in here and replace the capacitors in here from 24 to the 30-volt capacitors and see if there's a difference. And that way, and we'll be using 5S for all these tests. That way, at least if it does show a benefit, it'll show a benefit without having to upgrade to 6S and having to change the entire board, da 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 da. And the success or failure of that test will determine whether or not you see this video. No, I'm just kidding. I'll show it to you even if it is a spectacular failure and the 30 volt capacitors provide less velocity than the 24 volt capacitors. With that being said, let's get a baseline on this and see where we are. The other part of our test is we're going to do a round with the Efest 700 milliamp 14500s, and we'll do a round of these Windyfire 14500 600 milliamp batteries. I've known about these for a long time. I haven't really pushed them, but they do also work. I can't really tell you how many times in talking with people about 14500s, I'll tell them, I say, look, it takes a really specific 14500, and they say, well, I've got some for my flashlight, I'll just use those. Well, I mean, it's not the same thing. There's I think three different main types of chemistry for lithium ion cells, and these are 600 milliamp rated. The Efest are 700. So you'll see that you'll see other 14500s that have a lot higher milliamp rating. They're not the same chemistry. They can't discharge fast enough, and oftentimes they've got a little circuit board on the positive end that protects the cell from discharging too quickly, overcharge, and low voltage. So if you run into any of those scenarios with those batteries, they're called protected cells. It will turn your battery off, and when you have a pulsating system like the Drost, where you have the solenoid firing and the motor going intermittently, you really don't want something that is going to just cut off on you. When I get done with the Superbird, it draws 6-7 amps, something like that. So when you look at batteries, just look at the amperage output rating. And these, well, the Efest, they say that they'll do 9 amps in burst, and I can't remember 5 continuously. I don't know. Those work and these work, but we're going to see how these stack up as far as velocity with the Efest. All right, we're all set up for the first round. I haven't shot this gun in probably 2 years, and I honestly don't know what condition I left it in. So we're going to hope that it doesn't jam on us. But anyway, we've just got over 1,000 PSI going to it. We're not going for any kind of crazy record here, but it's going to show us what we want to see. And we're going to continue to keep this same pressure setting over there on the nitrogen throughout the whole test. Up first, we have the Efest 14500s, and I have fully charged them, and I'm going to do every one of these tests on a set of completely charged batteries. So with any luck, it's not going to jam on us, and we can get 10 rounds out of this thing. Alright, we're going to be using a pulse of 7 for the entire test. We are using Hornady Black Diamonds. I had a bunch of them laying around, so that's what we're going to shoot. After we give it some gas. And turn on the lights. I'm going to go ahead and do another 10 round shot after I show you this. Because I'm not sure why those 790s are coming in there. Might screw up our whole test. I think we're jammed. All right. Didn't think we were going to get through that one. That was a little bit more like it. So there's our low, high, average 839.5. So this is what the Efest. What we're going to do now is switch over to the Windyfires. I've got those charging up, so it's going to be just a second. All right, now we've got the Windyfires loaded in there. And let's see if we can't get through this. And our chronograph isn't working, or gun is not firing. That's what's going on. Okay, I think what I'm going to have to do is take all of these BBs out and lubricate them. So let me do that. There's the culprit right there. That little piece of wire was stuck on the auger. So we're going to continue the test without lubricating the BBs. Okay, we're going to shoot it again, but we'll see what we got. Oh well. Only time that button ever worked is when I hit it the wrong time. Okay, so it does appear that the Windyfires do not shoot as hard. All right, I'm getting some messages from the wife to come home and work on the list. So I will continue this test tomorrow.